very warm welcome back to my channel, everybody. My name is Karen Saunders, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about events that have already occurred with regards to the Olympics. And I'm sure everybody has seen the demonic and satanic representation of the Lord's Supper. For those of you that know, I am a born-again Christian, and I was outraged, deeply saddened and disappointed when I saw this year's rendition and opening of the 2024 Olympics in Paris. This time 10 years ago, when the Olympics were opened, it was very different. There was a lot more class to it, let's just put it that way. There were ballet dancers, and the music was very classical, and it was just a very, very nice occasion, classic occasion. I think the disturbing thing about this year is not only the unchristian representation of the Last Supper, but also the fact that children were involved in the ceremonies, and there were different scenarios that could leave one thinking, what are they trying to say here? In particular, there was a scene with a darkened tunnel and three children holding one of them was holding the Olympic torch, and then there was this sinister looking character in a boat on the Seine, apparently. And I don't know about you folks, but I'm just going to say it outright. I just immediately thought of child trafficking. That was the image that I got. And then, of course, the headless Marie Antoinette image, you know, with the head singing and blood and gore, you know, coming from the severed neck. I just thought it was absolutely disgusting. And because of that, I decided not to watch the Olympics, which I normally enjoy watching. However, one thing stood out to me, and I have nothing against this individual whatsoever. I think they are amazing. They have achieved so much in their sportsmanship and in their career, but they're also one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Serena Williams. Serena was there for everybody to see, holding the torch and being part of those pagan celebrations. So the question has to be asked, what is the Watchtower going to do about that? And the reason why I asked this question is because I came across an Awake of 1984. I will put all the links in the description for you to have a look at yourself. And under the heading, the Olympics, sports and religion, is there a conflict? So this is Awake 1984 of August, and it's on page 2. And the outlines that the Watchtower are giving here really gives us food for thought. Okay. The question in paragraph 1, why did the Christian emperor ban the games? He wanted to purge all pagan activities from the empire, but why were the Olympic Games considered pagan? And then they quote writer Messinese, who says, and I quote, "We are told that during the sacrifices to the god Zeus, a priest stood at the end of the stadium holding the torch." And I believe this is who Serena Williams was representing when she was holding that torch. So the priest stood at the end of the stadium holding the torch. The athletes among the worshippers raced to the end of the stadium toward the priest. The priest had the privilege of lighting the fire at the altar for the sacrifices. The flame at the altar burned symbolically during the whole period of the games. It is this part of the ceremony which has been resurrected for the contemporary games. And as we saw the other day, everybody, That's still in vogue. It's still happening. The pagan origin of the games is perpetuated to this day in several ways. The Olympic torch is lit by the sun's concentrated rays in a ceremony at the sacred grove in Olympia, Greece. A head priestess and priestesses participate in the act. The sacred flame is then carried from Olympia to the current Olympic Games, so in this case, all the way to Paris. Millions follow by TV and radio with regards to the journey of the torch. The climax is at the final stage when it is brought into the Olympic Stadium to light the flame that will burn throughout the Games. Now, this is what the Watchtower said. And it absolutely beggars belief. They go on to say further in this article that by taking part in sports, obviously there's a competitive spirit there because somebody wants to win. And it also involves divisions, pride, and bragging. So this is what I'm quoting from the Watchtower. Because of this worldly spirit, Christians would not want to be involved in competitive leagues, not even amongst themselves. Neither would they want to play one Christian congregation against another in any sports. Okay. And also, they actually go on to say that Christians should have no part in anything like this, like something considered sporty, especially in the Olympics, because it's steeped in paganism. Honestly. So this is my question to the governing body right now, because they actually liken becoming an athlete and participating in athletic games as apostasy. This is what it says, right? What good would it be to have an athletic body if the mind became degenerate or debased? Or what if he became an apostate by participating in pagan religious sports events? And then they quote 2 Corinthians 6:14-17. Do not become unevenly yoked with unbelievers. For what fellowship do righteousness and lawlessness have? Or what sharing does light have with darkness? Further, what harmony is there between the Christ and Belial? Or what does a believer share in common with an unbeliever? And what agreement does God's temple have with idols? For we are a temple of a living God, just as God said, I will reside among them, and I will walk among them, and I will be their God, and they will be my people. Therefore get out from among them and separate yourselves, says Jehovah, and quit touching the unclean thing, and I will take you in. 2 Corinthians 6:14-17, New World Translation. So here is the question, friends, and to you, governing body. Serena Williams, as much as I admire her, I have nothing against her as a person. I don't. Okay. But she became a baptized Jehovah's Witness. I think it was last year. So she dedicated herself to all the doctrines and policies and information like this in the Watchtower and the Awakes, and to live by those doctrines and those teachings. So what gives Serena Williams the right, and this isn't, I'm not being facetious, I'm not trying to be holier than thou here, but what gives Serena Williams the right to go to the Olympics when her organisation, her man-made religion, teaches that by becoming involved in Olympics, you are opening yourself up to be an apostate? So this is in their own information, friends. If it was anybody else, let's put it this way, I'm just going to say it. If it was anybody else, you know, Joe Blogs, you know, the average person living around the block, and they were doing these things in the back room before 3 men and illegally removed from the so-called Christian congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses. As I've pointed out before, friends, there's nothing Christian about this organisation. So what are you going to do, governing body? See, here's the thing. Normally, a person who is removed from the congregation is dealt with in the congregation that they are part of or were part of. Serena Williams is a world-renowned figure. She's famous for her tennis, her trophies, everything. That's what she's famous for. So shouldn't she be publicly removed according to Watchtower's own publications? How can people avoid her if she's not removed for apostasy? Because this is what they're saying, taking part in the Olympics because of its pagan origins and religious origins too. Why make an allowance for her? This is why, friends, this organisation is shooting themselves in the foot, because they're so hypocritical. And I'm sorry to have to say this, but you know, Serena will not be short of a penny or two, you know, in terms of, you know, potential contributions given to the organisation. That's none of my business, but one would think, you know, as a Jehovah's Witness, she'd be giving her 10% or whatever it is people give these days. And, you know, it won't be, you know, a couple of cents, let's put it that way. Will the organisation stand their religious and moral grounds, ethical grounds, and take Serena into the back room and question her? You know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. These Jehovah's Witness men have said in times past, in numerous publications, numerous talks, numerous conventions, it doesn't matter who you are in the organisation, everybody gets treated the same. I beg to differ. I don't think this will be the case. And she'll be allowed to carry on in these events, being part of it, whether she took part in an actual sporting event or not. She took part in the ceremonies, which are just as bad. It's just as bad. You know, the Bible says that true Christians need to be as much as they can without spot from the world. Getting involved in pagan religious ceremonies like the Olympics is spotting oneself. I'm sure that you would agree, friends. Like I said, I've got nothing against Serena as a person. You know, I think she's a pretty awesome person. But religiously speaking, this is what we have to discuss, because the hypocrisy will be on another level because of who this woman is. And so, you know, hopefully rank and file Jehovah's Witnesses will see this, because when they see the ceremony and they see how demonic it is, and even Elon Musk, right, I don't know what his religious persuasion is, but even he, you know, acknowledged that the opening ceremonies of the Last Supper, you know, which had many people there, you know, dressed in different attire, and I don't know what their gender is, but they were all dressed, and you know, the Lord's Supper, the classical Renaissance painting, was put underneath the event at the Olympics, and it was disgusting. It was absolutely shocking. And they're already saying right at that moment there, if you're a Christian, forget watching the Olympics. Forget watching the Olympics. So this is what we're seeing now, the hypocrisy of the Watchtower. Maybe they will discipline Serena. Maybe they will talk to her in the back room. I doubt it. I doubt it. And if that happens and it comes to light, I will sit here, as you know, people, I take responsibility and I apologise where I need to, and I do it with grace and I do it with humility. But, you know, it's just rubbing everybody who loves Christ, everybody's nose, true Christians, these events, these demonic and satanic ceremonies are just rubbing a true Christian's face in the proverbial, and, you know, a finger up, you know, to the most holy. And at the end of the day, if a Christian like Serena Williams is willing to compromise Christian principles and ideals, then where does that leave her? You know, her Christian walk, her professed Christian walk with Christ is in the gutter, because he wouldn't approve of this. She should have looked at that ceremony and thought, you know what, I'm going to renege on holding the torch because I don't agree with what I'm seeing. But she didn't. She took part in it. So yes, I welcome your comments, my friends. It's a very disturbing topic, actually, you know, because these Olympics, I think as well, they're just going to get worse and worse as time goes on, and it's going to get more debauched, it's going to get more wicked, it's going to get more satanic. And, you know, I don't think it's a coincidence either that all the lights went out in Paris after these ceremonies. That's not a coincidence. But anyway, let me know what your comments are, my friends, and don't forget to like and click subscribe to my channel and share my videos, because then we can get this education out to others. And until the next video, please take care, always show love, always be forgiving, but don't take any nonsense from anybody. Don't be a doormat, and always be your true, authentic self.